It's starting to feel like something is shifting. And if you've been paying attention, then you're probably noticing it too. Black stories left and right are taking over. The movie Sinners blew past box office expectations. The trending show Forever on Netflix is giving awkward black teens and young adults everywhere the love story they deserve. Or should I say we? Albums like Cowboy Carter. Beyonce didn't just drop any old album. She took over an entire genre, turned it inside out, really. These projects weren't performative or forced to be palatable for wider society. They showed up in media loud and unapologetically black. And they're superseding the numbers anyone could have ever expected. So now this has really got me wondering. With all of the black art we've been seeing over the recent years, months, weeks, days, could we possibly be in a black art renaissance? Let's explore. First and foremost, what even is a renaissance? Well, historically, a renaissance signifies a rebirth or flourishing of artistic and intellectual output within a community after a period of stagnation or oppression. These periods are typically marked by intense creative production across multiple art forms, but also a shared sense of cultural identity amongst artists. And the art they create typically has large influence on greater society. Now, some of the key markers for an artistic renaissance are concentration of talent. A critical mass of creators emerge in a short span, often in a specific locale or community, producing exceptional work in literature, music, visual arts, performance, and more. Cultural identity and empowerment. Artists use their work to celebrate their heritage and express previously marginalized perspectives. Rejecting old stereotypes, this often coincides with broader societal movements for rights or identity. Cross-genre collaboration. Different art forms energize each other. Musicians, writers, painters, filmmakers, etc. share ideas and contribute to a larger cultural conversation. Critical mass and mainstream impact. The movement garners attention beyond its community. Workers from the Renaissance achieve critical acclaim, popular success, or influence mainstream culture. Institutions may take notice, and the art sparks dialogue about social issues. Lasting legacy. A Renaissance leaves an enduring legacy, inspiring future generations. It often lays groundwork for later cultural or political movements. Artists from these periods are remembered as trailblazers who opened doors for others. Now, I want to go further into how these areas can be applied to some of the artwork I mentioned earlier in the video, but I quickly want to give an example of a black renaissance of sorts, and that would be, of course, the Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance is the classic US example of a cultural rebirth. Centered in Harlem, which is a neighborhood of New York City, this area was a golden age of African American culture, sparked by the Great Migration of Black Americans to northern cities. Harlem became a Black cultural mecca, and the artistic explosion that followed was unprecedented. Literature, music, theater, visual arts, you name it. We got icons like Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Josephine Baker, Aaron Douglas, the list goes on. The central message that was weaved into this period was self-expression and cultural pride, racial pride, really. Harlem Renaissance artists deliberately centered African heritage and Black identity into their work. Alan Locke dubbed this the emergence of the new Negro, signaling a new confidence in Black American art. The Harlem Renaissance is a great example of what it took to make a cultural renaissance. Creativity, a strong social consciousness, and a legacy of influence that echoed for decades. Really, for over a century. Now, if we fast forward today and talk about more contemporary Black art, there have been many people online stating that they believe that we may be in a Black art renaissance.
This next 10 years is going to be a huge creative movement, specifically for Black creatives. We are looking at the Black Renaissance in the arts. I'm talking fine art, I'm talking music, I'm talking film, music, television, games. We are in the middle of a revival for Black creatives specifically, and it is going to blow people's minds. Like, I'm talking like history books, historians are going to look back on this decade and be like, wow, this was the year, these are the years that Black creatives have changed the trajectory of our society. So I don't know what this means, but I just felt this wave, I just felt like, okay, like we are moving. This is a movement, y'all. Like, don't sleep on us. Like, this is a movement.
Whether it be through film, television, music, or even digital media, there's been a surge in recent years of Black artists telling very unapologetically Black stories through different mediums. And it feels like very recently, 2025, there's really been not only a lot of Black art, but Black art that has been so impactful that it just simply cannot be ignored. Also in 2024 and 2023 as well, because I do feel like Beyonce's Renaissance and Cowboy Carter albums are big parts in this conversation. So let's touch on the film Sinners very quickly. Sinners, which was directed and written by Ryan Coogler, is a supernatural horror film set in the 1930s Mississippi. It became a breakout box office hit. Within the first week, Sinners grossed over $71 million in North America. And as we know, it recently hit over $300 million, which is a huge milestone for a film not only written and directed by a Black man, but also an original story. This was not a remake. Or even if we talk about television, in very recent years, for example, we have a show like Abbott Elementary, which is on ABC Network. This show is Black created and Black led. Abbott Elementary is a primetime ABC sitcom created by and starring Quinta Brunson. Abbott is an Emmy-winning series with Quinta Brunson herself winning an Emmy, but also other characters on the show as well. Abbott Elementary has very high viewership, especially for a show that has a predominantly Black main cast. ABC even scheduled a special episode to air immediately after the Oscars broadcast, treating it like a tentpole program. And this is a show that isn't based in Black trauma or abuse or strife. This show is very funny, it's very lighthearted, it's very sweet. It touches on issues, but the fact that it's not rooted in our pain is, to me, a huge win. And then we have newer shows like the show Forever, which literally has only been out for 2.3 seconds and has already been renewed for a second season. Literally, the day or a couple days after it came out, my feed was flooded with nothing but Forever content. Millions and millions of people drove over to Netflix to go and watch the show, and I've seen many people saying that they've already watched it once and then rewatched it a second time. The fact that Netflix went and renewed it this quickly is very telling that the viewership must be worth it for them to renew it. Now, this show was created by Mara Brock Akil, and it was adapted from Judy Blume's classic 1975 coming-of-age novel. And again, this is really just a young coming-of-age story. It's not rooted in Black trauma. There are some elements like, the young man's parents, Justin's parents, being afraid of him driving and going out into the world because of police. But outside of that, we really don't see extreme trauma in this show that isn't outside of everyday life, if that makes sense. And this just tells me that we are desperate for Black art and we are willing to go out and support it in droves if we are given the opportunity. Music wise, if we talk about Cowboy Carter, for example, I think it would make more sense to talk about Renaissance, but I do want to talk about Cowboy Carter just in the fact that it really broke boundaries in a lot of ways. 2024 album Cowboy Carter, which is the second installment of a planned trilogy, is a concept album that reinvents Americana and country music through a Black lens. Beyonce, being a Black woman herself with roots in Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, is the perfect person to tell this story. Yet the genre of country music did not welcome her with open arms. They actually made it very clear that they did not want her there, despite the fact that she told a story that was true to her and her family. The impact of the album was immediate and record-breaking. Cowboy Carter shattered streaming and chart records. It logged over 76 million streams in its first day alone, the biggest debut ever for any Black woman and for any country album in 2024. It debuted number 1 on the Billboard 200 with 407,000 units. making Beyonce the first Black woman to ever have a #1 album on the country charts. So again, if we are given the opportunity to support diverse Black art, we will go out and support it in droves. So if we go back and talk about some of the key elements that make something a renaissance in regards to the art that I'm speaking of today, it's kind of pointing towards the fact that we may currently be in a renaissance. Category 1 was concentration of talent. It's very apparent that we have a huge concentration of Black talent. Cultural identity and empowerment is woven through each and every piece of artwork I just mentioned today, and many others I haven't mentioned. Cross-genre collaboration. I mean, with Beyonce's album, whenever we look at the fact that Judy Blume's original book wasn't centered around Black teens living in Los Angeles, dealing with the things they were dealing with, but we were able to kind of twist it on its head and adapt it in a way that made sense for us and was a love letter to not only Los Angeles, but a Black love story, is very telling to me. And then Ryan Coogler, who mixed, horror with blues and had different elements of Black culture and even non-Black culture woven into the movie. To me, I would say it checks off this box. Critical mass and mainstream impact. Do we even have to talk about this one? I listed off some of the numbers, and mind you, these works came out in either 2024 or 2025, and they've already hit these numbers. So I can only imagine what sort of impact that these pieces of art will have on our future artists and viewers as a whole. And again, lasting legacy, like I just mentioned, they just came out, so we don't know what the lasting legacy will be. But one thing I do want to mention is that after seeing the movie Sinners, I noticed a lot of artists, a lot of writers, creatives saying that Ryan Coogler invigorated them to either get back into the arts or to go harder into whatever it is that they're working on. So I can only imagine how many directors, writers, cinematographers, etc. will have in 10, 20 years that said, yeah, I went to film school because I went and saw Sinners and Ryan Coogler inspired me. And then we have amazing arts because of his impact. It's a lot easier to identify a renaissance in hindsight. It's kind of hard to see it whenever you're in it, And I also think it's important to note that we are specifically talking about Black art, a Black art renaissance, but in my personal opinion, I currently think we're in one. But I would love to hear your opinion. Do you think we're currently in a Black art renaissance? And if so, what has been your favorite piece of Black art in the last couple of years or so? I would love to hear in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and that notification bell. And I also recently launched a Patreon. The link will be in the description box down below. So if you're able to go and support that, I would highly, highly appreciate that, just to, help keep this channel going, help keep the lights on. But yeah, no pressure, I have 0 members now, and I'm okay with that. Whenever I get my first member, I don't know what I'm going to do. I might do a backflip. We'll see. But I'll definitely give you a shout out on this channel because I appreciate you, whoever you are out there. But again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.